In recent media, the mercenary is a self-hired person often tasked with carrying out violent endeavors. They usually have some sort of cartoony personality, ranging from quiet badass to quirky psychopath. Portrayed as honorable, reputable, and honest, these fun mercenary characters in media are usually seen as some kind of anti-hero. So what about outside of media? Called sellsword or soldier of fortune in ancient times, and now called hired gun or simply merc. A mercenary is a person that is paid to join a military conflict. Not affiliated with either party, a mercenary seeks only personal profit. These days, they're usually EX soldiers and most are American. According to the Geneva Conventions, mercenaries are granted with no legal protection as opposed to regular soldiers. Here's a bit of trivia. This means that shall you capture a mercenary mid-war, you can theoretically do mean things with them, and it would technically be ethically correct. Bring the ethics committee for this one. I've already had my share of anthropology in college. Now, we can talk about the perceived morality of mercenaries. For example, while Thucydides, an Athenian historian in general, cites mercenaries as being amongst the best fighting forces in the Mediterranean Sea area, Aristotle viewed them as cowards. I quote, "Mercenaries become cowards when the danger seems too great for them, being the first to run when defeat is imminent." So, as we can see, mercenaries have historically been seen as great fighters, but also as cowards, much unlike video game portrayals of this kind of people. I don't think that the word most people think of when seeing these characters is coward. Now, I can think of two main questions we can ask. Why are there so many mercenaries in video games? And why are they reconstructed as the good guys? Let us now approach the first question. When we think of video games, for better or for worse, we think of beating people up with sticks, swords, or bullets. Well, this isn't for nothing though, as games quickly became about mainly violence. Here's a basic game design thing though. Players need to be motivated to do stuff. You beat the bad guys, and now you get a reward for it. Be it score points, in-game money to buy more equipment, or whatever. So, if you're a game designer and you want your main character to feel relatable to the real world somehow, what occupation can they take? You might now realize that this cycle of beat other people up and get reward is basically what mercenaries do in real life. They terminate people for money. So why are there so many mercenaries in video games? Well, because the interactive media of digital games has been mainly about beating people up for money. Now, we march onwards to the more difficult question. If these characters have such a questionable occupation if you really think about it, why is it that they're treated as heroes? Or rather, why are stories manipulated in such a way so as to make them be the good guys, while ending people's lives for money? Simple question, do you strive to be a good or a bad person? Of course, what a good or a bad person is can change a lot depending on your culture. However, chances are that if you're watching this video, the moral code of the society you grew up in won't be so different from the moral code of mine. Or from anyone else watching this, for that matter. Without going into too much detail, this can be described as us following a virtuous ethical system, as posited by the previously mentioned Aristotle. Basically, if we act virtuously, we will be doing good and then we'll be happy about it. This is also supported by studies in human behavioral biology. I've been watching these classes by Dr. Zapolsky that are available at the Stanford's YouTube channel, and basically, humans instinctively follow the tit-for-tat strategy for cooperation. It is a highly effective tactic in which an agent first cooperates, and then, if the previous person also cooperated, the agent will cooperate in their next encounter. If the previous person didn't cooperate, the agent will not cooperate in their next encounter. Okay, So now we see that there is a desire to be good, to cooperate. Of course. Do you desire to step on cute puppies? No. No, you don't. So, many games have the fantasy of being a superhero, the super cooperator, even if the explanation for the character's occupation is of a mercenary. Let us now explore some specific cases, dividing them in 3 categories. 1. The protagonist doesn't end innocent lives, only creatures or immoral people. Although her canon description is of a bounty hunter, Samus Aran acts more like a mercenary. There's even a funny story where Retro Studios made Samus partake in missions collecting bounties for Prime 3, with Nintendo then shutting the idea down, telling Retro Studios that Samus doesn't actually take bounties for those she hunts. More recently, in Metroid Dread, it is stated that Samus is paid for her missions. Samus Aran even was a cop at first, much like mercenaries in real life, and now basically works for the Galactic Federation. In the first game, she's sent by the Federation to take care of space pirates, which, for all intents and purposes, are considered quote-unquote immoral, quote-unquote people. In Metroid 2, she's sent to exterminate every Metroid. In Metroid Fusion, she's working for the Federation again, and so on and so on. The Star Fox team is also mentioned to be a team of space mercenaries, often hired by the military powers of Corneria. Again, some members had military training before joining the group. They mostly fight against Andros and his robots and bioweapons. So, again bringing an end to only creatures or immoral people. The wiki even states that they will only accept missions that serve to uphold justice. Both Samus and the Star Fox team are considered unequivocally good guys. And how could they not be? If there was a space monkey trying to destroy the universe, I for sure would be cheering for the opposing side. I think. I'm not actually that well versed in Metroid and Star Fox politics, but that is a whole other can of worms. Still, there's this very sanitized version of a mercenary, which doesn't really match our reality. 2. The protagonist starts ruthless, but later becomes a good guy. Cloud Strife follows the now classic story of being a cop and then becoming a mercenary. As a mercenary, Cloud is shown to be arrogant, ruthless, and only interested in finishing his current mission. In time, he is hired by Avalanche, a rebel group working to protect the planet from the mega corporation Shinra. Only then does Cloud learn to be a more compassionate person, while also realizing that he had been in the wrong side of history until now. So, from mega corporation cop to bastard mercenary to finally cool guy, eco-friendly rebel, Cloud Strife goes through a hell of a character development. The Borderlands series main characters, called Vault Hunters, are basically all mercenaries. They're also generally initially described as, honestly, pieces of shit. One of Borderlands 2's Vault Hunters, Salvador, is wanted for all kinds of crimes, even including cannibalism. Not a guy I would go to a party with. However, during the game's events, when hunting for the Vault, they all end up doing mostly savior of the world stuff, which makes sense in the story. But there's no denying that initially morally gray characters end up being treated as full-on heroes in the next game. This kind of story lends itself naturally to a redemption arc, a very popular type of character development or story arc wherein immoral characters redeem themselves. It's not as sanitized as Nintendo's Samus Aran and Star Fox team, but still a sort of family-friendly mercenary character. 3. You're a piece of shit. And now, the game that got me thinking about all that mercenary stuff in the first place. Picture this. Life is hard. You've got to pay for everything. You wear out your shoes at your job, you pay for new ones. You break something there, you pay for it. It's a grueling job. You're stuck in this system and nobody can get out. But sometimes you're offered a gig. Today, they offer you two of them. First gig is helping an old lady get her cat off from the top of a tree. She will pay you $5. Second gig is a rich guy who is going to pay you $10,000 to kick the old lady out of his land and teach her a lesson. You're a good guy though, so you try to help the old lady. But you fall down and break your arms before getting to help the cat. Now, you gotta pay your astronomical medical bills since you're from the USA and you have no public health care. You're now in debt. Next day, you go to work and lo and behold, the rich guy hired 2 mercenaries to take care of you. You're going to die thinking, man, there's something wrong with this society I live in, but I really can't seem to know what the problem is. Okay, so as you know, I've been talking about Armored Core. A game where you pay for every bullet you shoot, for any damage to structure you do, and also pay for your max reconstruction after each mission. And then you're offered a low-paying, hard-as-nails mission by the rebel group that is against the mega corporations that dominate this land. And also, you're offered a high-pay, easy mission by a mega corporation to crush the poor people protesting for better working conditions. And the worst part is, it's hard. Piloting a mech is hard. So you fail the hard mission you feel is the right choice. And for a long time, you only manage to proceed in the game by crushing these low-level innocent protesters. Such is the life of a mercenary, hired to terminate innocent people. You're a bad person, living in a worse system. Through the game's design, through its difficulty, it makes you feel like the bad person a mercenary actually is. A hired gun. But there's more. If you get strong enough, you can choose only the fights you find virtuous. You can free yourself from the chains. You can choose not to be a pawn to a corrupt system. You can choose to change the world. Together, you can bring redemption. Work for a better future. Not for you, but for them. Don't forget this message, Raven. This is the power of art. This is the power of this digital interactive media we call video games. Don't forget this message. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, consider liking and subscribing for more content like this. I plan on making more videos on game design stuff soon, so stay tuned for that too. I've been so happy about the channel's reception, and it's all thanks to you. Special shout out to Silver Glint, who made a community post about my video on his channel. My man. Thank you for tuning in. Cheers.